When gospel superstar Deitrick Haddon abruptly faltered during his performance, mayhem broke out on stage. So much so that, as fans stared in shock, security had to remove him away. What was the true source of this startling onstage fright? What is the severity of his condition? The facts surrounding this tragedy are more concerning than anyone could have predicted, so stay with me. One of the most vibrant and well-liked performers in gospel music, Deitrick Haddon is renowned for his stirring stage presence, inspirational teachings, and strong voice. When he performs live, fans come from far and wide in anticipation of a memorable evening filled with worship, music, and festivities. However, what ought to have been a happy occasion during a recent concert devolved into a scene of shock and anxiety. In this video, we'll show you what happened when security had to bring Haddon off stage, examine the fans' initial responses, and reveal information about his health and well-being. The contradictory accounts, insider information, and notes that Haddon himself gave to his admirers following the incident will astound you. We'll discuss everything from government comments to eyewitness reports, as well as the impact this has had on the gospel community. This is when things start to get fascinating, and by the end, you'll see why gospel enthusiasts all around the world are interested in the story. Deitrick Haddon and his loyal supporters had a typical start to the musical night. The arena was crowded and humming with excitement. People had traveled from several states to witness the enthusiasm and motivation that only Haddon could provide. The audience cheered, the lights went down, and the first song's opening chords sent shivers through the crowd. Haddon greeted his supporters with his trademark smile as he took the stage, exuding charm and confidence. The first few songs were electrifying, clapping and swaying in sync with the music. Voices rose in unison. Everything appeared to be ideal for the first few minutes. Many others recorded recordings to document the pleasure of seeing the gospel superstar play live, and fans later characterized the atmosphere as amazing. Then, however, something unexpected occurred halfway through the set. Haddon, who often glides across the stage with ease, abruptly slowed down. Astute admirers saw him stutter a little, gripping his side and stopping in the middle of the song. Some initially thought it was a dramatic pause for effect, which is a standard strategy used in live performances to build suspense. However, it soon became apparent that this was not your typical pause. Security quickly hurried onto the stage. The joy that had filled the room moments earlier was replaced by uncertainty as the audience became silent. Before anyone could comprehend what was occurring, security hurriedly but carefully led Haddon toward the stage exit as fans noticed him straining to keep upright. According to other accounts, he was actually carried a little way because he seemed weak and confused. The crowd's response came instantly. The air was filled with gasps, shouts of concern, and audible prayers. Uncertain if the gospel artist was having a little health scare or something much more serious, several of the spectators were in tears. Within minutes, videos of the incident started making the rounds on social media as phones were raised to capture it. Comments regarding what might have caused this abrupt fall range from shock and concern to conjecture. The lights went down, the band stopped, and a tense hush descended upon the crowd as Haddon vanished behind the stage. The moment was unreal. The fans had anticipated adoration and jubilation. Rather, they were seeing something that would stick in their memories. However, it was not the end of the story. There would be further questions and contradicting reports because of what transpired right after Haddon exited the stage inside the curtains. The backstage scene, his team's reaction, and the information, or lack thereof, that was made public would all contribute to the flurry of conjecture that engulfed the gospel world. This is where the intensity increases even further. A layer of mystery that fans were anxious to solve was added when some witnesses said they noticed indications that Haddon's illness may have been developing for weeks prior to the performance. The audience was in stunned silence as Deitrick Haddon was led off stage, with many still attempting to comprehend what had just happened. A flurry of activity broke out backstage as supporters nervously waited in the arena. His personal team, stagehands, and security were working fast, collaborating with medical staff to make sure he got help right away. Backstage witnesses said Haddon was pale and confused, and he had trouble speaking. While paramedics evaluated his condition, staff members paid close attention, delivering water and keeping an eye on his vital signs. He had been suffering from tiredness or dehydration, according to some crew members. Even if these rumors were unverified at the time, there was an unmistakable air of urgency as everyone tried to stabilize him before taking any further action. The fans outside the backstage area, meanwhile, became more and more nervous. Many were in a condition of fear and anxiety, despite having come to celebrate. Videos of Haddon being carried away went viral on social media, generating thousands of shares, comments, and emotions. Nearly instantly, incident-related hashtags went viral, raising awareness outside of the musical venue. Fans within the arena made an effort to maintain composure. Some people sobbed, others clasped hands in prayer, and still others silently hoped that the organizers would reassure them. The band paused their performance, momentarily uncertain of what to do, and the muttering of worried guests soon filled the space. Some told experiences of crying for the first time at a live concert, while others related hearing crowds recite prayers out loud. It served as a sobering reminder of the close bond Haddon has developed with his fans over the years. The issue got even more messy backstage. There were conflicting accounts very quickly. According to some insiders, Haddon's blood pressure had suddenly increased, while others speculated that fatigue from his demanding tour schedule might have contributed. Fans' worry and conjecture were only heightened by the ambiguity. On social media, inquiries concerning his recent performances, lifestyle, and health swiftly proliferated. Apart from his physical state, there were rumors that Haddon had previously struggled with his health. During interviews in recent months, he had expressed feeling overworked, and some fans pointed out that his hectic schedule may have had a role in the onstage event. Others questioned if this was a one-time fright or an indication of something more serious, arguing that there might have been an underlying medical condition that had gone undiscovered. Church leaders and gospel musicians also had conversations about the tragedy. Many people expressed solidarity and support on social media, asking followers to remember Haddon in their prayers. Fans, collaborators, and other musicians sent him messages, demonstrating how well-liked he is in the gospel scene. Though nothing was proven, some conjectured that this event would cause him to re-evaluate his tour itinerary or give rest precedence over touring. The twist that kept fans buzzing, though, is this. A string of contradicting claims started to surface online just as speculation peaked. While some suggested a more serious health issue, others asserted that Haddon's condition was stable and that he would soon be able to perform again. For days to come, headlines and social media feeds will be dominated by the whirlpool of doubt caused by this contradicting information. Haddon's silence on his official channels only served to increase the situation. Known for frequently interacting with followers via live streams, messages, and blogs, his absence raised questions about the seriousness of his illness. The number of questions increased. Was there a significant medical emergency that was only barely avoided, or was this a small incident? Could this affect his future performance or maybe his career? And every time the gospel community believed they were getting some clarity, Haddon's staff would issue an official statement, a news that gave some followers peace of mind, but left others even more interested in what went on behind the scenes. Questions dominated the gospel world in the hours and days after Deitrick Haddon's onstage fear. Clarity was desperately needed by fans. However, what surfaced was a jumble of rumors, contradicting information, and social media mania. Different accounts were provided by backstage witnesses. While some speculated the episode might have been related to a more serious medical problem, others said Haddon was simply exhausted or dehydrated. Meanwhile, both mainstream and gospel media sites quickly reported on the occurrence. Deitrick Haddon collapsing on stage and a gospel musician recuperating from a health crisis were among the headlines. Confusion was only exacerbated by the variety of reporting. Videos of Haddon being carried off stage went viral on social media, garnering thousands of shares and comments full of prayers, worry, and occasionally conspiracy theorizing speculation. In an attempt to ascertain the precise events that transpired, fans analyzed each frame of the video. His gestures, posture, and even the facial expressions of the security guards who helped him were all observed. Using previous interviews where Haddon talked about the physical challenges of performing live, the pressures of touring, and strict timetables, others conjectured about pre-existing ailments. Others questioned whether this occurrence was an indication that he should slow down and put his health first. Insiders started to weigh in, which increased the ambiguity. According to some people who claimed to be directly aware of Haddon's tour, the singer had been experiencing exhaustion for weeks before the performance. They claimed that Haddon had been exerting himself to keep up a demanding schedule that included studio work, live performances, and personal ministry obligations. According to the insider reports, the individual had given his all to his work, possibly at the price of his own health. To make things even more complicated, Haddon's lack of social media activity raised more questions. His quiet was noteworthy, given that he was well known for his regular updates, inspirational posts, and direct comments to admirers. This was seen by many admirers as an indication that things were more serious than first thought, as people from all around the world shared words of hope and worry. Hashtags like #pray for Deitrick and Deitrick Haddon health started to gain popularity. Church leaders and other gospel musicians joined in the discussion. During this uncertain period, platforms were inundated with messages of support that emphasized prayer, community, and faith. Even legends need to rest and take care of themselves. Thus, some public personalities urged Haddon to take a break from performing. This prompted more rumors that the singer could have to scale back or re-evaluate his live concert schedule. However, despite the contradictory findings, one pattern persisted: the extent of Haddon's influence on the gospel community and his followers. One performance wasn't the only thing that worried people. They were worried about a man who had used ministry and music to mentor, encourage, and inspire innumerable people. This worry's emotional impact increased the story's ferocity and fostered a perfect storm of interest, sympathy, and conjecture. Then Haddon's management released a statement at the height of the community's worry. Even though its goal was to reassure supporters, it left a lot of things unresolved, which increased curiosity and conversation. While some praised the remark for providing reassurance, others thought it was purposefully ambiguous in order to conceal the seriousness of what had happened. It becomes even more compelling at this point. According to insiders, Haddon may have been advised by doctors to cut back on his performances or alter his way of life in order to safeguard his health. Suspense and urgency were increased by the prospect that his career would be affected and that fans might witness fewer live concerts. Would his life change as a result of this onstage fright, ministry, and life? And if Haddon made the decision to address his fans directly, what would he say? Fans and the media were clamoring for answers as rumors about Deitrick Haddon's onstage fear grew. Haddon's management eventually issued an official statement following an anxious wait. The message, which was carefully phrased, informed supporters that Haddon was under medical monitoring and in stable condition, even if it acknowledged that he had suffered an unexpected health issue during his performance. Little information regarding the incident's cause was provided in the announcement, which focused on the singer's rest and adherence to his doctor's orders. The statement was a relief to several supporters. It affirmed that Haddon was safe and would keep getting better. But for others, the absence of details simply stoked their interest. There were many questions. What sort of medical issue did he encounter? Was it related to a pre-existing condition, fatigue, or dehydration? And above all, will it have an immediate impact on his performance? Immediately, the gospel community responded. On social media, churches, choirs, and other musicians posted encouraging remarks. As others urged supporters to respect Haddon's privacy as he recovered, many placed a strong emphasis on prayer. "We are praying for you, Deitrick Haddon, and your music has inspired us for years. Take care of yourself, Pastor," was one of the many posts that poured in. There were indications that Haddon's team had thought about long-term effects even in the statement itself. According to people close to the musician, physicians urged him to lessen the physical demands of live performances and change his traveling itinerary. As a result, there was conjecture that Haddon could have to change his career path in order to save his health. Immediately, fans started discussing whether the gospel sensation would play live less frequently. Some insiders alluded to conversations about changing lifestyles, which increased the mystery. According to reports, Haddon had received advice to slow down, prioritize self-care, and concentrate on rest, advice that some supporters were concerned may restrict his ministry activities. Social media was still a flurry of activity as people examined the message word for word in an effort to uncover any hidden meanings or hints on Haddon's condition. The incident's emotional impact persisted even as assurances proliferated. Supporters emphasized the intimate bond they had with Haddon by sharing personal tales of how his music had transformed their lives. As fans of gospel music, many acknowledged that one of the most heartbreaking and moving experiences they had ever had was witnessing him being carried off stage. There was more to the situation than a health scare. It was a time of vulnerability, worry, and camaraderie. Then something changed. At last, Haddon shared a message with his admirers on social media. In an emotional video, he seemed calm but thoughtful as he thanked everyone for the love, support, and prayers that came from all across the world. His private note gave followers comfort and a reminder of his humanity, which deepened the narrative. Haddon talked openly on the value of getting enough sleep, taking care of oneself, and paying attention to one's body. He hoped his admirers would heed his advice. "Life is valuable," he remarked. "Even though I enjoy my work, I've come to realize that we should respect the bodies that God has given us and take the time we need to heal when required." His remarks struck a profound chord, emphasizing a point that extended beyond the specific situation: the significance of faith, health, and balance in the face of pressing obligations. Many fans were reassured by the official announcement and Haddon's private communication, but there were still unanswered questions. Might this be a turning point in his career? Would there be changes to future performances? And how would the gospel community react if one of its most cherished performers had to deal with such a public health emergency? Deitrick Haddon eventually spoke to the world in a private video message following days of conjecture, and it swiftly went viral, becoming viral on social media. Haddon showed the emotional impact of what had happened in the video by seeming calm but clearly thoughtful. He started by giving thanks to God, his family, his medical staff, and most importantly, his supporters, for the overwhelming outpouring of support and prayers. "I want to express my gratitude to everyone who has prayed for me in the last several days. The love, support, and care from all of you has been overwhelming," Haddon remarked. It served as a reminder that regardless of our level of strength or dedication to our jobs, we are all human and must look after ourselves. Haddon acknowledged in the video that he had suffered an unexpected medical issue while performing. He stressed that he was closely monitored and adhering to medical advice, although he did not disclose particular medical details. But his message to his supporters about faith, self-care, and the value of slowing down when needed struck a chord. "Every moment we have is a gift, and life is valuable. We must respect the bodies that God has given us and pay attention to our bodies and minds' signals to rest," he stated. Fans reacted right away. Prayers, expressions of appreciation, and first-hand accounts of how Haddon's music had changed their lives were posted in the comments sections by thousands of people. His video was reposted numerous times, trending on social media and attracting interest from people outside of the gospel music scene. Many audience members acknowledged that it had been terrible to see him struggle on stage, but it was a relief and a sense of connection to hear him speak directly. Haddon's legacy in gospel music was also emphasized in his comment. Through his ministry work, mentoring, and singing, he has influenced millions of people over the years. Although concerning, this occurrence demonstrated the extent of his influence. One performance wasn't the only thing that worried people. They were concerned about a man who had impacted generations with his music. Fans realized that even celebrities have human weaknesses, and this incident served as a reminder to everyone of the frailty of life and the strength of community. He also exhorted his listeners to keep giving thanks, helping others, and leading meaningful lives. "I hope this event serves as a reminder to all of us to value our faith, our families, and our health. We should respect the road that God has planned for every one of us." His remarks struck a profound chord, inspiring followers all over the world to pause and express gratitude. Haddon grinned broadly and conveyed optimism for the future as the video came to an end. "I am not done yet," he added, "but I am learning to serve in a way that is sustainable for my ministry and my health, while also honoring the journey God has given me." And Haddon's moving observations to the startling onstage scare. This narrative serves as a reminder of the fine line that separates passion and well-being. It demonstrates the strength of faith, prayer, and community throughout uncertain times. More than just a headline was made about the occurrence. For both fans and the gospel community, it turned into a time of solidarity, care, and inspiration. The main conclusions for viewers are obvious. Icons like Deitrick Haddon are also people. Taking care of oneself is crucial to pursuing any passion, and the support of a community may be life-affirming. Aspiring artists, admirers, and followers are all reminded that self-awareness, and the readiness to pay attention to one's body and soul are just as important sources of power as skill or commitment. Haddon's music, legacy, and message continue to have a significant impact as the gospel community continues to unite around him. Despite being surprising, this episode has further solidified his status as one of the most revered and adored figures in gospel music, leaving a lasting impression that will continue to motivate future generations. It is now our collective responsibility to commemorate Deitrick Haddon, not just by showing concern, but also by celebrating his ministry, his music, and the lessons this time has taught us about faith, resiliency, and self-care.